Hello and welcome to the Daily Mill for Saturday, the 6th of November 2021. And today was a match day, and as what you would expect from a team, Derby County had drawn 8 games and Millwall who had drawn 6 games, it was a draw. As most people expected, it was a 1-1 draw. And here you go. This is the match report from news@den.co.uk. Scott Malone scored his first championship goal since May, but Millwall were held to a 1-1 draw by 10-man Derby on a frustrating afternoon at the Den. Festi Ebasile put the Rams ahead in the 44th minute before Malone rifled home in first half stoppage time against his former club. Wayne Rooney's side were forced to play the final 25 minutes with 10 men after Nathan Byrne was sent off for 2 bookable defences. But Millwall were unable to break down a determined and well-drilled Derby outfit. Despite a flurry of late chances, Mill made the brighter start but were unable to make the most of a few early corners and were then almost caught out at the other end on 6 minutes. Jason Knight got in behind and cut back for Basile, who drilled towards goal. Fortunately for the Lions though, George Saville was in the right place to make a goal-saving block. But Derby continued to dominate and had another excellent chance at 17 minutes. This time Sam Baldock was found by Curtis Davies and turned Dan Ballard before coming back on his right foot. But Jacob was in the right place to make a crucial intervention. Malone fired over with Mill's first notable attempt in the opening period before Bartosz Białkowski made a comfortable save from a Tom Lawrence free kick, which looked like it would bring an uneventful first half to an end. However, Cooper was robbed in the final minute of normal time and Baldock and Lawrence created an opening for Ibasile to slid past Białkowski and put the Rams ahead. But Millwall levelled less than 2 minutes later when Jed Wallace picked out Malone, who took one touch and hammered into the bottom corner where a rasping finish before cupping his ears at the travelling supporters who had been booing his every touch. Wallace then almost got in on the act himself. Would that be Jed Wallace or Murray Wallace? Help us out, bruv. After the interval, but he couldn't beat Kel Roos after racing through on goal before Malone's follow-up effort was booked. Millwall's improved second half showing was then almost rewarded on the hour mark when Mason Bennett played an excellent reverse pass around the corner for Wallace, who cut back for an unmarked Saville, but he swept just wide of the far post. Moments later, the Lions were given a huge helping hand when Byrne, already on a booking, was given his marching orders for bringing down Bennett. Mill should have made their numerical advantage count immediately, but Bennett missed his kick following a teasing Wallace cross before Białkowski was forced into action twice in quick succession, denying both Knight and Baldock with his legs. Afobe had another great chance in the closing stage, but his acrobatic effort was pushed away by Roos after substitute Tom Bradshaw had flicked Wallace's cross into his path. And the talking points, first half struggles becoming a theme. Yes, yet again. Mill might have gone into the interval on level terms, but that doesn't tell the full story. Just as against Stoke, Huddersfield and Reading on Tuesday, the Lions looked short of creativity in the first 45 minutes and only avoided being booed off once again because Malone had just brought them level. Malone's son, just before the break, breathed new life into the hosts. Mill managed 11 second half attempts on goal compared to 3 in the first half. Probably created enough to collect all 3 points, but there would be no rally like previous home games, and Gary outside were made to look back on yet another disjointed first 45 minutes, which ultimately cost them a third straight Den success. What's happening? Something is happening. What is happening? Please figure out what's happening and do something about it, because if it keeps happening over and over and over again, something is wrong and you need to fix it. Do you tell them go out to play a certain way and then they take it too far? Are they scared of conceding the first goal so they defend too much? What is happening in the first half games where we barely have 3 shots? So you have 3 shots in 45, 3 shots on target in 45 minutes. That's 1 every 15 minutes. Is that the style? Is that how we're supposed to be playing? Is that let's keep the first half tight and we'll get in the second half? Is that how it's supposed to be? Because that is fucking mind numbing. If it is, tell us, and then I'll when I go to a game at the Den, I'll turn up for the second half. I'll turn up at half time. I might get in for free because the fucking doors might be open at half time. With people going out to smoke. But for fuck's sake, just tell us. Just tell us. I'll turn up at half time and watch a proper fucking half of football. And not one half of shit and one half of football. No Sean Hutchinson, no party. Rowett made 3 changes to the side that beat Reading on Tuesday, although one of those was enforced. And when the Lions boss found out his captain wasn't available due to illness, not COVID, he was probably fearing the worst. In the 7 championship games that Hutchinson missed earlier on in the season with a quad injury, Millwall tasted victory just once, and they came in stoppage time against Blackpool, giving them a win percentage of just 14. On the other hand, when a centre-back has started in the championship this season, the Lions have an impressive record. Since Hutchinson recovered from that quad injury and came back into the side against Nottingham Forest, Millwall had collected 16 points from a possible 24 available, but their win percentage without Hutchinson got slightly worse following this draw, meaning it's now 1 victory from a possible 8 without their captain. Indeed, and Danny Ballard was very shaky. He lunged into a tackle and the geezer got past him. He gave a really bad pass to Jake Cooper, which led to the goal. He looked very shaky, Ballard. So Malone has last laugh in first half, but Derby survived a point. Quite particularly, both Bennett and Malone, who both joined Millwall from Derby, they're later on a permanent basis earlier this summer, were booed by the travelling fans, as was Rowett. But Malone got his own back on the Rams supporters right at the end of the first half. The former Derby left back, who was actually playing further forward on this occasion, had been having a quiet first half but needed no second invitation when space opened up for him, drilling an arrowed effort into the far corner. Not content with his goal, Malone cupped his ears to the away fans, while Wallace joined in on the action by shushing the Derby contingent. Oh, what did Rowett do? Did Rowett do anything? But the Lions were unable to send the away support home with nothing after this frustrating draw. And the Millwall lineup was as follows: Biakowski, Leonard, Ballard, Cooper, Murray Wallace, Mitchell, Saville, Jed Wallace, Bennett, Malone, Afobe, and the subs were 4 of them. McNamara for Ballard on the 74th minute. Smith for Saville in the 81 minute. Bradshaw for Bennett 75th minute. And OJ for Afobe on 87. Okay. So yeah, a bit of shaky defending without Hutchinson, and it's true. He makes a difference. He makes a difference in the results. And when he's not there, we miss him badly. Come back. Now, why wasn't he there? I'll tell you about it before I was gonna. So here we go. Do you want to see something funny? So this is from news@den.co.uk. Rowett has let us all know. So Mill captain's absence in 10 draw against Derby County, not COVID related, says the Lions boss. Gary Rowett confirmed Sean Hutchinson missed Mill's 1-1 draw against Derby County on Saturday through illness. Danny Ballard and Jake Cooper played in the centre of defence against the Rams. He was ill. He had a virus, not COVID. He was tested, so it's not COVID, Rowett said. Maybe test him again, to be honest. I don't think these tests are all that. There are false negatives and false positives. So he had a bit of a sickness and a diarrhea virus. He felt a little bit better this morning, but we've seen it before when players have been up all night. It's not worth risking them. Actually, is a big miss for us, but once again, we've had to make those decisions on the key players. Certainly no excuse. We didn't do more to win the game. So Rowett there, breaking probably some kind of ethical code about sharing someone's health details in employment. Sean Hutchinson's got the diarrhea, so I don't know if you want to message him on Twitter and say, how's your diarrhea going? Shit like that. No pun intended. Literally like an open. I don't know if he's doing it on if he did it on purpose, like we're trying to wind him up. But are you telling everyone he's got fucking diarrhea? Come on, man. I don't know. I don't know. Is he do? Oh, that must be a wind up. No, he's winding him up. You can't be saying that. So what else did Gary Rowett say about the actual game and not about players having diarrhea? So, Millwall boss on Wayne Rooney claims strange psychology in a player he picked out as an example. This is from news@den.co.uk. Millwall boss Gary Rowett picked out the performance of Billy Mitchell as an example for his teammates to follow at half-time in a 1-1 draw against Derby County at the Den on Saturday. Rowett felt Mitchell was setting the tone the side needed. The Rams went ahead through Festi Ebasile in the 44th minute before Scott Malone levelled 2 minutes later. Rowett added that there is strange psychology at home, with the Den again edgy despite the Lions being so close to the playoffs. Derby had Nathan Burns sent off for a second booking in the 64th minute, and Rams boss Wayne Rooney felt his side should have won. I'm not sure they did enough to win the game, in my opinion, but I think they turned up and showed a brilliant response from the Barnsley defeat, Rowett said. The first 5 or 10 minutes we played on the front foot. I changed formation again, played 4-2-3-1, tried to get Scott Malone higher and tried to press them. After that 5 or 10 minutes, we just didn't do it with enough conviction. For some reason at home we seemed to just be a little bit edgy. We didn't move the ball well enough and didn't play with enough belief. We score a goal at the right time. It's excellent play by Jed to put Scott Maloney in for a good finish. That was after conceding a horrendous goal on our behalf. We overplay, we go backwards, we have a chance to go forwards, and we end up making a mistake. I would say at that point it was probably deserved because they moved the ball really well and made it hard for us to get up against them and press. It just seems to be a strange psychology about us at the moment. The whole ground feels edgy in the first half of games. What I would say is we come out the second half and showed a really good response. I had a go at them at half time. I said for me, Billy Mitchell epitomised the bravery we needed. He was getting on the ball. He's a young player, he's getting on the ball and making things happen. I felt there were more players around him that needed the same quality and bottle to help him out. Second half we did, we went up against them and were much better. They had a couple of breakaways, but I thought we were a dominant side even before the sending off. It was really, could we get the winner? We have done in the last couple of home games. When we've not played as well as we'd liked it, we turned it on in the second half and won the games. Today we just couldn't quite find the finish. Jed has a 1-on-1. Bennick has a great chance. Sav had a wonderful chance. Mace has a header and could do a little bit better. Smudge here has a header. It was just whether we could find that little bit of quality in the final third to win the game. I think the players have tried everything they could. It was another performance where I couldn't fault them for effort. Certainly second half and late in the game. It was just a bit of quality lacking at times. Now, before Scott Malone's goal today, our 3 previous goals were tap-ins in the 6-yard box, players running onto them. Bradshaw and Afobe, Bradshaw twice, on balls played in across the goal line. So, maybe try and do that, because you scored 3 out of your 4 goals like that. Maybe. I don't know. But it seems to be working recently. We got more comments from Gary Rowett. Mill boss on. Have we just seen this one? I pulled up the same. Did I pull up the same one twice? Or they just. No, I think this is different. But it's from news@den.co.uk, so it should be different. Mill boss on slow first half, centre back, wing back dynamic, and praise for Derby County. Mill boss Gary Rowett has demanded his players start games more positively after they had to come from behind to earn a point against bottom side Derby at the Den. Mill have only gone ahead in the first half of their 17 league games 3 times this season. 3 times we've been in the lead in the first half. Rowett was pleased with the second half from his side, but also praised Derby. We have a little habit sometimes, particularly when we change to a 5-2-3, that if the centre halves don't push the wing backs higher up to press, then we don't get out of that shape. We struggled to go and be brave. Second half, we were much braver. We pushed our wing backs much higher up the pitch. Our midfielders got a little bit closer and tighter, and our defenders did the job defensively to stop them playing around it. While they had a few breakaways, even with the 10 men second half, I felt we were braver on the ball and had some really good moments, some good bits of play. What you've got to do in the championship is go and finish them off to get more than 1 goal. Today we couldn't quite do that. I thought Derby were excellent. I didn't necessarily think over the whole 90 minutes they did enough to win. The game was there for us, but you've got to find those little bits of quality. At the moment, we struggled to score more than one goal, but for anyone watching the game, we create lots of chances again. That's all we can do. It's up to the strikers to do the rest. Millwall had the better chances to win the game in the second half, with George Saville missing an opportunity to give the hosts the lead. Rowett added, Sav is a bit disappointed because that's a perfect position for him. That's what we brought him into the club for. There's little runs where he arrives late for a cutback cross, and there was lots of space I think for him to pick the spot, but look what happens. You could argue Derby got into some same positions and needed a better finish, so I think it works itself out. But he will certainly be disappointed he didn't finish that off. Bennett had an overhead kicked and the keeper made a good save. There were lots of moments. We beat Stoke in the second half, and massive plaudits to the players for doing that. We beat Reading in the second half, massive plaudits to the players. We're not going to do that every game. We have to start doing more from the start games to give ourselves a much better chance. Yeah, so we go into the international break now. Over the last 6 games, they've really kicked on. They've won a fair amount of games rather than drawing them. They've started to win games, and that's what we wanted. They've started to play a little bit better now. They're playing better in the second half of games, especially at the Den. In the first half, there's still not something wrong there. I don't know what's going on, but they do start to be playing that attacking Millwall grind set mindset. Let's go direct at them. Now it's easy to do that when you're losing 1-0, because what else are you gonna fucking do? You're gonna sit there and tippy tap it around and just be happy at losing 1-0? No, you're gonna have to go at them. Yeah, you're gonna have to go direct at them, and that's what the fans want to see. But we don't want to be 1-0 down to do it. Now it would be pretty amazing if you're losing 1-0 at half time and then you go and score 2 goals in the second half to come back and win it. That would be something entertaining as a home supporter to watch, to do that, and it's quite spectacular, because I think if you're betting on that kind of, the prices for that to happen, to be losing at half time and then to be winning at full time, is usually around like 28 to 1. So it doesn't happen that often, but so when it does happen, it's very entertaining, and gives you a bit of a buzz when you're leaving the ground. It happened against Blackpool when we scored that last minute header, against Stoke as well. So yeah, but we would rather be doing that from the first half and not having to be forced to do that by going a goal down. So please do something about that. So moving on now to some comments from londonnewsonline.co.uk. I think Wayne Rooney has been speaking. Sloppy. Derby manager Wayne Rooney unhappy at manner of Millwall's goal. Wayne Rooney was frustrated in the manner that Derby County conceded in today's 1-1 draw at Millwall and labelled it a sloppy goal. Rooney said, "It's frustrating and disappointing. It's a sloppy goal as well. The ball bounces in the middle of the pitch and their player brings it down, and one pass gets Scott Malone in on goal. Kell could do better as well. Scott's just tried to put his foot through it and they get the goal. To concede not long after you've scored and just before half-time was a blow. But that's football. There's going to be moments in games for us and against us. It's how we manage those moments. Over 90 minutes, we've probably done enough to win the game. First half especially, we were dominating possession, but also creating chances. Second half, we started a bit slow. Then we get the red card. But the lads showed character. It's always tough when you go down to 10 men. In terms of, do we go to a back 5 and defend the box? But we knew that Matt Smith would come on at some point. A point is never bad away from home. But I felt like we could have got 3 today. Second yellow, one looked like a yellow card, the first one I'm not sure. The player jumps over him and the ref was a bit easy to get the yellow card out in the first half. But Nathan knows when you're on a yellow card, if you go and put a tackle in, you have to win the ball, otherwise it'll cost you, which it has done today. So there's Wayne Rooney speaking there. Fantastic. Just general manageries, he's doing well here. Picking up his manageries. Learning how to speak like a manager. Yeah, I brought you news of that. So let's have a look at the table now. So you can see here, it's getting all bunched up and a bit tight here. So you got Stoke City. So they won They won today. They won 2 games in a row. And they're on 28 points. And then you got Queen's Park Rangers at 26 points. And from Queen's Park Rangers in 6th to Reading in 16th, there's 4 points separating them. So, yeah, there's a bit of jostling. Teams going up. So Luton were above us, now they're below us. Over the course of the last two games, our little run. Some teams go up, some teams go back down. Middlesbrough drew today, and for some reason Warnock decided to leave. For some reason, maybe he's retiring. I don't know. He just reached a milestone of being the longest, the manager with the most games as a manager. So maybe he decided, okay, I've got the record. Maybe he knew about the record. He was trying to get the record. As soon as he get the record, he just thought, okay, I'll retire now. Will that help them out if they get Middlesbrough get a new manager? We don't know. We're playing them next, so that will be interesting. I imagine they've got a couple of weeks to get a new manager. They could have a new manager by then if they rush it. Maybe they might wait to get someone decent in, or I don't know. But we are 9th on 25 points, and Huddersfield and Blackpool are also on 25 points. Luton on 24, Swansea 23, Forest, Middlesbrough, Birmingham, Reading 22 points. And yeah, so we win our next game, and we're on 28 points, and we really could do putting a nice little run of wins together between November and December, and that will really, if we can sustain that like we've over this past month, where we've got these wins, actual wins, not draws, those extra 2 points that you get from a win rather than a draw will help propel us up the table. Will really be fantastic. So moving on now to stuff that isn't game related. It happened at today's game. I was thinking about not talking about it, but it's going to come up, so let's talk about it. So this is a Millwall issue statement after supporter accused of discriminatory abuse towards a Derby County player. So, indeed. So, when it popped up on social media, it just says Millwall issue statement. And people clicking on it, and then you can see on the comments underneath, like, I thought this was going to be about Rowett leaving. Because people are still not happy with the boring first halves at home. But it wasn't. It was about a statement that Millwall released about an incident at today's game. So Millwall Football Club have issued a statement saying they are working with the Metropolitan Police to identify a supporter accused of discriminatory abuse towards a Derby County player during Saturday's game at the Den. The Lions played out a 1-1 draw with the Rams this afternoon. The matter is under immediate investigation, and the club will cooperate fully in the matter, said Millwall in a statement on their official website. Any individual found guilty of discriminatory abuse at the Den is issued with an immediate lifetime ban and also often an opportunity to complete Millwall's fan diversity scheme course. If you've got if you're issued with an immediate ban, then why the fuck would you take the fucking course? How's that work? Or is it a carrot and stick? They issue with the ban, and they tell if you want the ban to be overturned, you go on this brainwashing course. Who knows? I don't know how it works. The club has a zero tolerance policy against discriminatory abuse of any kind, and is continuing its tireless efforts in this regard through the work of the Millwall Equality Steering Committee. Derby County also issued a statement. They said Derby County Football Club can confirm that a member of its first team playing squad was subject to alleged discriminatory abuse this afternoon during today's game at Millwall. The player will receive the club's full support following the incident and the Den. The incident was formally reported after the final whistle, and Derby County will remain in dialogue with Millwall Club officials as they continue to liaise with the Metropolitan Police, who will now investigate the incident. Millwall have confirmed in a club statement of their own that any individual found guilty of discriminatory abuse at the Den is issued with an immediate lifetime ban, and the thing with the course. Millwall have also restated their zero tolerance policy against discriminatory abuse of any kind. So they've just Derby County would like to place on the record its thanks to Millwall Football Club for their assistance. So what's going on here? What happened? Well, we don't really know. Some people are saying it might be Kazim Richards. Apparently when he was warming up on the sideline, he was being his usual charming self, and the Millwall fans, as they like to do, like to give the business to the substitutes. But what I want you to see, so what do you see on the screen? What do you see? You see the word discriminatory repeated over and over and over again. So you see that, discriminatory. What you don't see is the R word. The R word. Do you know what the R word is? You must know what the R word is. Racism. So there is no racism here. Okay, so that's interesting, isn't it? Because if there's something that if there is a word in the 21st century that has kind of lost any meaning whatsoever, it is the word racist and racism, because it is thrown around so freely with such aplomb that it literally means nothing anymore. It's been overused as a stick to beat people with, that it literally means nothing, and anything is racist. And you know what? When everything is racist, then nothing is racist, and the word loses its meaning. So, but you notice they don't use that word here. That's interesting, isn't it? So what happened? Did someone call a ginger bastard or something like that? Maybe, but I have an idea. So today I've got the programme here in my hand, with on the front cover is Sergeant Freddie Fisher. Played for Millwall 1938-39. He was in the Royal Air Force and he died in July 1944. And this is Lest We Forget. It's Remembrance Day Memorial. It was today. The armed forces were there, and the players were wearing poppies on their shirts. Well, most of the players were. One of the players wasn't. And I kind of thought, oh, maybe it's a bit of an oversight. Maybe, because I think they mentioned it was like a young lad. They brought him in last minute. It was the last minute decision to play him. So I was thinking, oh, maybe they just couldn't get him a poppy shirt in time. But then I discovered, so the player who wasn't wearing a poppy on his shirt was the geezer who scored for Derby County. His name is Festi Ebasile. And here we go on his Wikipedia. So Festi Ebasile, you've seen him if you watch the highlights. Now, is he nice looking young black man with very dark skin and dreadlocks, short dreads. And looking at him and seeing his name is Ebasile, you would probably imagine, if you have any knowledge of African cultures, you say, well, it sounds Nigerian. And you would nearly be right. So, he is of Nigerian descent, but he himself was born in Ireland. Yes, he is Irish, so don't judge a book by its cover. He is Irish. He was born in Ireland, so he's 19 years he's lived in Ireland, in Enniscorthy, County Wexford. He's Irish. He's represented Ireland in under 16, under 17, under 19 and under 21. So what we have here is an Irish football player not wearing a poppy on his badge. So one would assume, now this has come up in the past with a certain player called James McLean, and he refuses over and over to wear a poppy on his shirt. He's Irish, and now here's the thing. So to a British person, the British Army or the British Armed Forces, should I say? Don't want to leave anyone out of it. The British Armed Forces to a British person is their grandfather, their father, their brothers, their sons. That's who the British Army Forces are to British people. Now, to someone who isn't British, maybe someone in Ireland, the British Army is a foreign force, a foreign invader. And it seems that even though this young Irish man, is of Nigerian descent, he is fully Irish in terms of not wanting to pay his respects to dead British Army and Armed Forces personnel. And it seems that he may have refused to wear a shirt with a poppy on. I don't know what he was doing in the middle. He did start the game, so he was there at kickoff when they had the ceremony. I could go back and watch the full match replay, which will be available early tomorrow morning, and have a look at him, see what he was doing. If he was at least paying just modicum of respect. But one thing he did not do was wear the symbol of the poppy on his shirt. Now, this is one avenue that I believe may be the issue. Now, the reason why I believe that is they don't use the word racism. They don't use the R word in the statement. He has not been... That hasn't been thrown around, and that gets thrown around all the time. So why wasn't that here? And another thing, a little sneaky thing by the BBC, if you pay your taxes are paying for this shit. You go on the BBC Sport website, they have in their headline about Millwall racism claim, blah blah blah. You click on it, you go through to the story, the headline changes, and the R word isn't used. So they use the R word on the main menu, but when you click on it, the headline changes to discriminatory abuse. Aha. So that's your taxpayers being paying for that shit. So because they don't use the R word, so something's happened. That isn't obvious racism. So what could that be? Well, at the Memorial game, there is a player who wasn't wearing a poppy on his shirt. Maybe some Millwall players found out that they knew he was Irish, and they figured it out and gave him some abuse for that. Maybe just said, well, why aren't you wearing a poppy on your shirt? Maybe they just assumed. Now, I wouldn't assume that a Nigerian looking player would refuse to wear a poppy on his badge, so I wouldn't really... I'd say, oh, he must be wearing the wrong shirt or something. But when you look into it, so maybe someone googled him. It's like, what's this guy's problem? Is he like some kind of radical anti-British something? Oh, and then you find out he was born in Enniscorthy, County Wexford, and he's as Irish as Boyzone. He's as Irish as they come. And then they put 2 and 2 together and started giving the guy abuse about not wearing a poppy on his shirt. And the reason why I believe that as well, now I'm just speculating here, I have no idea. At the end of the full-time whistle, everyone goes on, they start doing the handshakes and all that. Young Festi Ebasile was wearing a green Umbro bib on his shirt, over his shirt. Weird. So those bibs are for substitutes when they're warming up down the touchline. So, and if you ever watch the bench during a game, you'll see the sub sitting there. They put the bibs on. When they get up, they put the bibs on. They stand there stretching, putting the bib over their head. They go run down the lineup, do the stretches while they're wearing the bib. Some players they do it over their tracksuit top. Sometimes they take the tracksuit off and have the bib over their shirt. When they get back to the bench, they take the bib off and go and sit back down. They generally don't constantly have the bibs on. Now I'm thinking he got the abuse when he did get subbed off, I believe. So I'm thinking he got the abuse at the end of the game when he got subbed off. So by then probably people were thinking, they were looking at the guy not having a poppy on his shirt and wondering why, and then someone figured it out. And then at the end of the game, I imagine that's when he got the abuse, when he got subbed off. And he got subbed off in the 87th minute. So at the end of the game, he got subbed off for Colin Kazim Richards, who did have a poppy on his shirt, by the way. I'll look for that. So he gets subbed off. Maybe there's a word said at the end, and then they tell him, put this bib on, cover that up, because we don't want more of this. Because that's weird that someone would put a bib on at the end of the game. That's really weird. I may be reaching, I may be speculating, but I think this is what's gone on. And the reason why I think this, because they're not using the R word, they're not using racism, they're using the word discriminatory, over and over again. So what I think that this happened is there was a big ceremony before the start of the game, Remembrance Day, trumpet playing and all that, wreaths laid, and one player wasn't wearing a poppy, and it was this guy, Festi Ebasile. And when you look into his Wikipedia, he's as Irish as they come. He may look Nigerian, but he's Irish. So he got the James McLean treatment, and he's not very well liked at the Den either. So one to look out for the future if Festi Ebasile ever comes back to the Den. Now you know why he wasn't wearing a poppy today. So there you go. That nonsense is coming around. I'm just speculating that maybe that we'll find out. I imagine we'll find out, or maybe we won't. I imagine everyone will just want to move on, but seems someone's looking at maybe an arrest, an interview, police interview, and all that other nonsense. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, back to the game. 1-1 today. We knew it was going to be. I told you it was going to be a draw. Derby County have drawn 8 games, more than us. We drew a lot of games at the start of the season. So, did you get your money on the draw? It was inevitable. Should have done. You didn't need to be Nostradamus to predict this. So anyway, that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.